Hey guys, so I wanted to make a Rey Kenobi theory part 2 video because I did not have time in my first video to talk about all my points, so I wanted to make this one. So this video is more about why I think Rey is not a Skywalker or a Solo. So let's dive into why I don't think Rey is a Solo. I think Han might know who she is or has an idea of who she is, but I don't think they're related. Maz asks Han who's the girl and it cuts away, so it makes me think that he might know who she is, he has an idea of who she is. I think Han is supposed to be the mentor figure. I think he's supposed to be the mentor figure in Star Wars like Qui-Gon was to Obi-Wan, like Obi-Wan was to Luke. And since people with the Force are very good at flying, maybe she reminded him of Ben before he became Kylo Ren. And also, I'm going to put this in the description box, but a great YouTuber pointed out the fact that in the beginning of New Hope, Obi-Wan offered Han Solo a job, and Han was offering Rey a job. And he doesn't seem to know everything about her because he seems confused when she says she wants to go back to Jakku. And also when Kylo was talking to Rey, he says, you think he was the father you never had. I think at first that sounded like, oh, a family thing. Oh, he's an uncle or the father. But the more I thought about it, it was the father she never had because she never had a father. She never grew up with a father. So to me, it sounds like her father's dead. So when I first watched Rey fly, I thought, oh, she's either Skywalker or Solo because she's a great pilot. She's super talented at flying. But when I really thought about it, all Jedi are good pilots. In Phantom Menace, Qui-Gon Jinn explains how Jedi are good pilots, they're good at flying, they're good mechanics, and Obi-Wan is a good pilot too, even though he says flying is for droids. He's also a good pilot. I just think people automatically assume, oh, good pilot, Han and Luke, just like I did, but there are other good pilots. When I rewatched scenes from the prequels of Obi-Wan flying, I felt like they were very similar to how Rey flew. And when I rewatched Force Awakens like 50 times, Finn says to Rey, that was incredible. How did you do that? And Rey says, I don't know. And Rey explains to Finn that she's flown ships around Jakku, but she's never left the planet. So that's obviously the Force. So I think at first people assumed, like I did, that there must have been some kind of relation with Leia and Rey because they hug and they had never met each other. I think people thought, oh, maybe Kylo and Rey are twins because in the expanded universe, Han and Leia, they had fraternal twins. And so I think people were thinking, oh, they were split up just like Luke and Leia were in the original. And I think at first it was like, oh, they split them up because Kylo would turn evil and they were afraid that if they had their child around the Force, she would turn evil too. But the more I thought about it and when I rewatched the movies, it does not make sense for Rey to be a Solo. Firstly, Leia asks Han to go basically fetch Kylo, and she says to Han, there's still good in him. I know it. He was just seduced by Snoke. So if Leia thought that there was still good in Kylo Ren, if she thought he could come back to the light side, if she believed in people could come back to the light side even though they were the dark side, she wouldn't have hid her daughter out of fear. I also don't picture Leia hiding her child. I don't picture Han and Leia doing that. Also, the reason why Han left is because they lost their son. They felt like they lost their child and they both had to deal with it in their own way. If they had another child, he wouldn't have left because they would have another child to support, emotionally support and care for and love. Also, the timelines wouldn't make sense. The ages wouldn't make sense. The timelines, it wouldn't make sense for Rey to be Kylo's twin sister or just be his sister or whatever. The book Bloodline explains that, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later in the video. The scene between Kylo Ren and Han is so similar to the scenes between Padme and Anakin. Padme tries to bring Anakin back to the light side, just like Han tries to do. And what's interesting about these scenes too is that Obi-Wan witnesses Anakin losing his mind with Padme, and Rey witnessed Kylo killing Han. The lesson of the story here is don't confront your crazy relative on a bridge. Honestly, didn't see these parallels before until I went back and rewatched scenes from Revenge of the Sith. So the novel called Bloodline by Claudia Gray takes place 6 years before The Force Awakens. The book explains a lot. It explains how the Resistance came into place. If you guys want to know more about it, you can read the book or you can read a summary about it online. So in a nutshell, the Senate doesn't know that Leia is Darth Vader's daughter until it gets exposed. It basically gets exposed in front of the whole New Republic, and Leia contacts her son, and she basically says, I'm sorry I didn't tell you he was your grandfather. And she tries to get in contact of Luke and Ben Solo, but she does not get any response back. So we can assume that Ben destroyed Luke's Jedi Order, and that's why there is no response back. If Luke had left Rey on Jakku after Ben destroyed everything to protect her, she would have been older. In the movie, she looks like a little kid. So basically, Rey was left on Jakku before Ben Solo destroyed the new Jedi. There's no mention of Rey, of course, and the book only is 6 years before The Force Awakens. So timeline-wise, this would not make sense for Rey to be a Skywalker. And this book is canon. It was advertised all over the official Star Wars website. They encourage people to read it. It says on the official Star Wars website that Rian Johnson, the director and writer for Last Jedi, that it was the same storylines that he has been using. So it wouldn't make sense for Rey to be a Skywalker or a Solo. So when I first watched Force Awakens, I thought Kylo Ren was just being a jackass, just insulting Rey when he was like, you, a scavenger, you got the droid to give you the information. But when I rewatched the movie several times, I think he is genuinely confused. Like, who are you? He's like, how in the hell did a scavenger from Jakku get information from the droid? Like, how was a nobody able to do this? If Rey was his sister, he would have known who she was. It's not like he would have forgotten who his sister was or if she was related. In the Star Wars Force Awakens novelization of the movie, Kylo and Rey have had visions and dreams of each other. So that's why he has a familiar connection to her. There are some really great videos that go into detail about Kylo and Rey having visions of each other their whole lives. So I'll put the links to those videos in the description box below so you guys can go check those out. I've read a lot of articles that have been like, oh, Kylo has a familiar connection of her. Oh, it must be family. But in Star Wars, there are Force bonds. The fact that they have had visions of each other their whole lives, to me, is a Force bond. And their interactions with each other is completely like other Force bonds shown in other Star Wars mediums like Knights of the Old Republic, which I feel like Kylo Ren's armor, his look, is very, very similar to Revan's look in the games. And in Knights of the Old Republic, the video game, Bastila Shan and Revan accidentally forge a Force bond together. And I think they already had a strong connection here, but I feel like when they interact with each other, it just strengthened their Force bond. In my The Last Jedi Star Wars theory video, I talk a lot about Force bonds, and I talk about how Yoda and Dooku have a Force bond. So if you guys want to check that out, you can watch that where I elaborate more about the Force bond. And I'm pretty sure J.J. Abrams said in the commentary that Rey and Kylo had never met each other, but he had heard of her, which totally sounds like a Force bond. And like I said during the interrogation scene, he utterly seems like he does not know her. He's curious about her, but does not know her. In New Hope, everybody just thought Obi-Wan Kenobi was just a hermit. They just thought he was a desert hermit. Thought he was a nobody. And in Force Awakens, Rey says, "I'm no one." Well, we know that's not true. And people thinking Obi-Wan is just a hermit reminds me of how people think Rey is a scavenger and how she says, "I'm just a scavenger." They both were viewed as being nobodies, as just being ordinary, when that's not true at all. Both Rey and Obi-Wan are more than what they seem to be. They're more than what they appear. And in my opinion, both Rey and Obi-Wan were underestimated. In the original trilogy, Obi-Wan was like a father to Luke. Luke viewed him as a father. He was the father figure. So I feel like that's going to be the same thing with Rey and Luke. I think Rey is going to view Luke as a father. I think he's going to be the father figure. Timeline-wise, it does not make sense for Rey to be Luke's daughter, because in Bloodlines, it gives the timeline, and Rey would have been older, like way older than just like a little girl, if Luke would have left her. So I don't think Luke is her father. I think he will be like a father to her. And usually masters are like parents to their apprentices, to their Padawans. In the original trilogy, Luke was looking for Obi-Wan. He was looking for a legend. Rey is looking for a legend. She's looking for Luke. Originally, Leia was looking for Obi-Wan with, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope." Now, she is using Rey's help. I just feel like the parallels between the two are so strong. Me, Rey is the only hope, and her name is Rey, like a ray of hope, a ray of light. I think Rey is the last hope for Leia. I think she's the last hope to get Luke back, so Luke can help them, so Luke can help the Resistance and bring balance. So at first I thought the scene where Kylo is like, "Join me, you need a teacher," I felt like it was supposed to mirror Vader saying, "Luke, join me. We can rule as father and son." So I thought it was like, oh, we can rule as brother, sister, cousin. So at first I thought the scenes were very similar, and I thought, okay, like maybe like a family relation. But when I thought about it more and more, every dark side user wants to bring someone as their apprentice. And I also thought about how Anakin wanted Padme to rule by his side. So I thought maybe that was like a similar scene. Dooku wanted Obi-Wan to join him. He asked Obi-Wan to join forces with him. Sith always want somebody powerful as their apprentice. They want someone powerful to bring under their wing. This has been shown in all kinds of Star Wars medium. In Star Wars Rebels, Darth Maul wanted Ezra to become his apprentice. Palpatine wanted Anakin to become his apprentice because he was powerful. They could take over the galaxy. This is also shown in Knights of the Old Republic. Powerful Sith wanting a powerful apprentice. So my point is, just because someone's like, let's rule the galaxy together, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily related. When they're like, join me, that doesn't mean they're related. Sith want someone powerful to join them. When I first watched Force Awakens, I thought the fight between Kylo and Rey was supposed to be like between Vader and Luke. But when I thought about it, it was like Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. I go into further detail of that in my Rey Kenobi Part 1 video. First lightsaber fight in the original trilogy was between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. First ever lightsaber fight was between a Kenobi and a Skywalker. And so it makes me think the first lightsaber fight in the new trilogy is between a Skywalker and a Kenobi. In Force Awakens, Maz says to Rey, whoever you're waiting for in Jakku is never coming back. It sounds like Rey's parents are dead. Also, Maz's friendship with Rey reminds me of Obi-Wan's friendship with Dex. Both Dex and Maz seem like they have done some shady things in the past, and they're both located in shady places. The difference between Rey's story and Anakin's and Luke's is that both Anakin and Luke wanted to leave their planet. They wanted to leave Tatooine. They wanted to leave home. They wanted to go on an adventure. Yes, Anakin was sad to leave his mom, but in Phantom Menace, he says, I can't wait to get out of here. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to leave this place one day. And in New Hope, Luke was really, really anxious to leave. He wanted to leave. He was tired of being on Tatooine. Rey didn't want to leave Jakku. Rey wanted to stay in hopes that her family would come back to her, even though she probably knew in her heart that they weren't coming back, like Maz said. She didn't want to leave Jakku. In The Force Awakens, she says she has to get back to Jakku. She doesn't go looking for an adventure. The adventure finds her. The journey finds her. She just wants to know how she fits into everything. What's her role? What's her place, like it said in the trailers. Rey just wanted her family. She just wants a family. Her story is different than Anakin's and Luke's in that regard. In the beginning, Anakin and Obi-Wan were friends, and then they became enemies, and they fought each other. I wonder if it's the reverse of Rey and Kylo, because they were enemies first, they fought each other, and I wonder now if they will team up. It seems like they're going to team up from all of the trailers and the interviews, which would mirror how Obi-Wan and Anakin did work together and did team up together. I also don't think it makes sense for Rey to be related to Kylo, because if Kylo was willing and able to kill his own father, then wouldn't he have no problem killing a random cousin or a sister? Especially if it was a family member he had never met, while he was able to kill Han, and Han had raised him. Han was his father. So logically, I think Rey would be a Kenobi. Story-wise, it would make sense because you could have so many more storylines with Rey being a Kenobi than just her being a cousin or sister, her just being family. And marketing-wise, it would make sense for her to be a Kenobi because there has been talks of Kenobi movies. There's been interviews and reports of an Obi-Wan movie series or an Obi-Wan movie. So will I be mad if she's not a Kenobi? Yes. Will I be sad if she's not a Kenobi? Yes. But I'm really excited about the movie. I think it looks amazing, so I'm really excited about that. If you guys enjoyed my video, please give it a big thumbs up. Please like it and please subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!